Hello.
There
There we go.
Howdy doodly, haddly doodly, haddly doodly, haddly doodly.
Howdy doody. Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna be a very orange boy today.
Portrait of a boy in a room on fire.
Yeah. portrait in a fiery room.
Portrait in a fire of a boy who likes women.
Fiery boy.
How goes it? Haddly doodly. How you doing?
It's good.
We had a solid 8 hours since we last spoke.
Yeah.
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 Played some solid Battlefront 2.
Yeah. Played some Battlefront 2 late. I enjoyed that.
Yeah. And then I
it's just nice to play a shooter or really any game online where I don't have to worry about the consequences. Or like I guess I want to win, but like I don't really care.
No, that's the thing. Every time I died, I was like, "This fucking." Oh no, it doesn't. It's not that bad.
Yeah, that's the thing. I was annoyed at the immediate thing, but it wasn't like playing like Overwatch or something I care about, where I'm like, now I have to think about all the repercussions.
Yeah, like it's not like Call of Duty where if you like go down immediately, you're like, "Oh my kill streak," and it's not like in Overwatch where if you lose the entire game, you're like, "Oh my SR." It's just like, hey, I missed that person. I'll get them next time. Go team. It was like a very I don't know, just one of the more like chill gaming experiences I've had in the last I don't know how long. Because I realized I feel like I've talked about it on the show. All of my favorite games stress me the fuck out. So like Battlefront 2 was a good change of pace.
Yeah. It's still a fucking like war game, which is funny.
It's still chaos, and you can spawn into a grenade, and that's fine. But like, I don't have the same level of like as I usually do.
I was getting annoyed because I kept spawning like on people, like on the other team. I would just like spawn, and then I'd just see the back of a rebel and be like, ah!
I mean, I was playing Call of Duty with our good friend Jason Shrimp, and
Call of Booty,
and So I realized he likes these game modes where all the maps are very small, and I mean that's pretty much just all the maps are very small. So literally, there were times where,
like Rust.
No, there's you play on Rust, and you have domination, and then you spawn, and you've got about half a second, and either a grenade is on you as you spawn, like an active grenade is on you as you spawn, or you take a couple steps and then there's someone around the corner and either you take them down or they take you down. But either way, you've got about 45 seconds of life. It's like everyone in that game mode has like the lifespan of a fruit fly. So you got to really make it count.
A fruit fly.
It's really upsetting. Really upsetting and stressful. It's fun sometimes, but like it's not like with the chaos of Battlefront. Like I said, with Call of Duty specifically, there are the kill streaks that you're trying to like build up, and if you like if I set my lowest one to fucking 2 and I get 1 kill, I'm just like, it's the back of my head is just fucking seething. Like I can't die right now. And then 5 grenades come in, nowhere to run. Like, yeah, the stakes are way too high, but the control in that situation is way too low.
So related to gaming, oh wow, this is terrible lighting.
I think it's fine. It's good contrast.
I guess as I get closer, I'm just like, ah!
I look like I'm in an insane asylum.
That's true. You're not in where you've been for most of the last, I think all of our previous streams has just looked like, like a 40-year-old's apartment. So it's just,
I'm either like,
it's nice to see you back in what looks like a dorm room, like I am.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. Dormy.
Yeah. It's dorm room vibes, and then I'm in like childhood bedroom vibes. So glad to know we're growing up here in 2019 or 2020. Good God. Okay.
I feel like after this year is over, we're all gonna collectively be like, no, 2019 just had a really long run.
We are literally just losing a year, like at least. Like
yeah. I saw something that was talking about if Tenet, like if Christopher Nolan's movie doesn't do well, then we're just not going to have movies until fucking Christmas. And then it became a matter of like, I really want to see that movie. There's no fucking way I'm going to see that movie in a theater.
Absolutely
no
not.
Fucking way. Like,
I want to go to a movie theater more than literally anything else that I can't do right now. And like that, well, okay, other than like see my grandmother, but of like Not counting that.
Loved ones,
loved ones,
movies.
Friends and family. Look, apart from things. Okay, the point I'm trying to make here is that I will not be going to see any movies until I know it's safe.
Mm-mm.
And honestly, like, I think it's super irresponsible for any studio to put out anything, because, like, look, and I work at a movie theater, so I understand the struggle. Like, movie theaters will open up if they're allowed to, and if, like, they have a Nolan movie to play. And frankly, I don't blame them, because they're desperate. But the studios aren't, like, or relatively, they're not desperate. Like, they're losing a shit ton of money, but they also have a shit ton of money in the bank. So it's like, it's not the same thing. And I think, like, Nolan in particular, like, he keeps talking about, we're gonna revive movie theaters, and I'm like, I get what you're trying to do, but doing that in the center of a pandemic, like in the middle of July, is just gonna be bad. Yeah. How much quarantine-based Kylie's asking, how much quarantine-based content do you guys think we're gonna have in theaters? Like, movies based on quarantines? If you can, like, based on this situation.
Right now, you are now a part of the podcast. Answer this right now.
Yeah, well, if you're in the chat, now, I mean, go for
dead
it.
Air. Dead air. If you don't answer right now, if you don't answer right now, we're gonna cut this entire thing short, because we don't want any kind of dead air on our podcast.
Well, let me just. I was gonna say something and not have to rant about dead air.
I was just trying to vamp for as long as possible.
I was just gonna say, I think that the release date for Tenet, and like every other movie that has had a release date, to me, that's just purely like, here it is, and then in a month, there it is. Like, like, they're gonna keep. It's like all release dates, even the like predictions about, like, we're extending the stay-at-home order into July. It's like, yeah, and then in June they'll extend it into August, and then like. Because they're not going to say indefinite, and then everyone will freak out and assume it's the apocalypse. But like,
my whole thing with, so I know that we're not trying to talk like general Corona issues, because you can just go anywhere and find that, or you can not look anywhere and it'll still be there,
Yeah.
But the fact that, like, did you see the pictures of like bars in Ohio last night?
Oh yeah,
they were packed. Like, and it's not okay. Like packed for like New Year's Eve. Like it's
packed with the people you'd expect to, like that.
Like, so yeah, my whole thing with any kind of estimate, like any estimate that's given right now, is kind of like, I want to say
like a placeholder.
I mean, not just great, but a placeholder, but it's also assuming the best of people, and we have yet to give why people assume the best of people at this point is beyond me. I don't know. So like, I'm kind of just 2020. Like I said, 2020 doesn't exist anymore.
It's a wash.
Like,
it's an absolute wash.
It is. There was 2019 and then COVID-19, and they all kind of blurred together in one.
So Kylie clarified. She said, "Are we going to have mad movies about characters in quarantine?" I think it's inevitable, but I also think it's going to take a while, because let's say this like does go until next year, and like spring 2021 is like optimistically the best time, like the first time like studios can start even production on this stuff. Like, we're talking 2-3 years at least before we see any of these movies actually finish and get released. So like, it's going to happen. I mean, I'm pretty sure there was like 9/11 movies in like 2003 or 4, like it didn't take them long. And like World War II movies started being made in the 50s and probably even earlier, like that. I mean, like it's everyone's experiencing it. So odds are we're going to have a shit ton of content about it.
So my thing, I don't even know that we're going to have necessarily like quarantine focused movies, like where the, like obviously stuff will be inspired by by having to stay inside, but I'm looking at it kind of, so the way you brought up 9/11, like I was watching this, Lindsay Ellis has a great video on War of the Worlds versus Independence Day, because they came out like within 10 years of each other, but like before and after 9/11, like very, like the destruction of the White House was like hilarious in Independence Day.
Yeah, it was like in the trailers. It was like, this is the reason you come see this movie.
Yeah, it's like, look at everything you love get blown to smither, and then in fucking War of the Worlds, it's like, no, like motherfuckers are turning to ash, like it is real. So I feel like and even now as you go back and watch, or for me at least, like as I go back and watch stuff made before quarantine, before Corona, like the way that people are just casually like talking to each other really close and touching each other. And like there was a blooper. I was watching community bloopers, and at one point Gillian Jacobs like sneezes, and like I guess it hits Donald Glover's hand. And as I saw now, I'm just like, oh my god, like it was so much more. And at the time, it was just like, oh, haha, someone sneezed on your hand. And now it's just like, that is a fucking, that's bioterrorism, what you just did. Like, that's horrible.
Yeah. And that reminds me, because there's another outtakes, I think from from season 2 of Community, where like Gillian and Danny Pudi are like sitting at the study room table together, and Danny's like helping her pick a booger out of her nose.
Oh yeah.
It's like, I guess a bit that they did, but like it's happening. Like he's just fully like putting his finger like right up here.
No,
like,
that's not going to be okay in the future.
Yeah, no.
Like,
well, even like super optimistically, like we're gonna like the world's gonna be different, and that's I'm curious when it comes to movies, and not just movies, other things like ongoing series, like TV shows, like sitcoms. Are they gonna like that are more or less taking place in the real world? Like, are they gonna address it? Like, are they gonna have entire seasons in quarantine? You know, like fucking the MCU, like in a couple of years, are they gonna have to like, because they don't follow real world events, obviously, but at the same time, it is a universe in which, you know, World War II happened. You can assume probably like Vietnam happened, and you know, I mean, they don't have to necessarily reference it, but
I mean, and again, they have to play against the fucking audience's psyches. Like we are different people now. We are different now than we were before COVID. So like,
and my brother is.
We have to like. I feel like even stuff that's like might be in post production. Like I feel like they might be tweaking bits and pieces. Like if there's a CG character, maybe put that CG character a few paces to the left instead of right next to the main character. Just for the audience's peace of mind.
I was talking to my brother, and he pointed out, because well, we're both really big Bond fans, but he in particular, like following the No Time to Die, which was supposed to come out like right at the beginning of all this. And that was one of the first movies that got pushed back, and I'm sure a lot of that has to do with the release date, because it was upcoming, but it got pushed back even before Mulan, and I'm pretty sure Mulan was supposed to come out earlier. And he said that based on some stuff he saw in the trailers and like reading on forums and whatnot, that there was already, like before any of the COVID stuff, like speculation that the plot would have something to do with like bioterrorism or like chemical weaponry, like you know, essentially, you know, pandemic as a form of like, you know, terrorism. And you know, maybe one of the reasons they were so quick to pull the trigger on delaying that one is because they were like, shit, well, even if we can release this, people are going to be super bummed out by it, like, you know? Yeah.
Who wants to spend money to go sit next to a bunch of people and think about diseases?
Like, yeah, exactly. Like have the and especially with all the paranoia in the world, like having a plot where a supervillain like sets the pandemic on the world, like I think would be pretty irresponsible, frankly, you know, like just be playing into a lot of people's existing fears. Yeah.
Like I'm interested to see how we talked about like next gen last week. Like I'm interested to see how The Last of Us 2 kind of either takes a hit or doesn't because of this. Like the disease in The Last of Us 2 is so not corona. Like it's so very much not you know, like the flu, but it is still like a disease, and it's like a pandemic story, and like
well, that's something that might be able to get away with it because it's had a pre-existing, like, you know what I mean? Because like people are already attached to The Last of Us, but it's maybe it would be different if it was like trying to sell people on a new thing. I don't know though, like that.
So like I'm just thinking, I'm thinking more in terms of like the overall emotions attached to the game, because like I was watching a playthrough of the first game recently, and like I forgot, like I consider that like just a fond memory of, you know, Last Generation. It's one of my favorite games because I feel like it's like I feel like if you've played The Last of Us, you have to say it's one of your favorite games because it's that good. Like genuinely, I was stressed the fuck out during 90% of that playthrough. Like it is, like it's like every second of that game is stressful. Even it's almost especially in cutscenes, because like in moments where it's like, oh well, this isn't, you know, it's not on me. Like that's even scarier because like shit can happen and you have no say. So like, and from all we've seen of Last of Us 2, it's about to be way darker than Last of Us 1. So like, I don't know if like I'm ready to, at the end of a, you know, the end of a day of work where I have blocked out the fact that I'm at home and the fact that like all of our operations have kind of been shifted because of this. Like I have to, you know, use that dissonance throughout the entire day. And then I go into a game where I'm supposed to like, not like, I want to turn my brain off, but like, I don't know. I'm just,
Yeah.
I'm
Well, I think it
interested to see
speaks to how
it
well
works out.
Animal Crossing did. Is it came out at the perfect time where literally you go to an island and get to like
Yeah,
live
just get the fuck
safely
out of
far
there.
away from each other.
Yeah, you
Maybe
get
have
to
like
say,
three
hey,
neighbors
you can
and
live on my island, but you get to live way the fuck over there.
yeah.
You get to like, you get to not be by me.
And you
Like,
can literally like wear a mask like everyone's wearing now in the game. And I'm pretty sure like that item was probably going to be there already, but I definitely like had it available to me really early on, and I would not be surprised if that was just them like throwing it into a patch and being like,
yeah, just
Animal Crossing addresses the pandemic.
like it was one of the first items because Aaron gave it to me, and like he came to my probably the first item I got from another person, honestly. Like just, and it became one of those like, oh yeah, no, there's no escape.
Yeah, yeah,
but yeah, no, I think
the like
does...
privacy mask item in particular looks exactly like the mask I actually have in real life too. Like the just black like kind of like felt thingy. I don't know, not felt, but
do I have one? Yeah, one of these boys, but without the
yeah.
I got it.
Well, you were wearing masks like before all this, or you were starting to as like a fashion thing, right?
I bought it in preparation for the Keith Ape concert, and then he didn't show up, so I felt like an idiot. But I still have them.
Yeah,
so
I never had that answer for me. All right.
Well,
yeah,
he just never showed up. But no, something that you brought, like I feel like Nintendo does a great job of making games that kind of like insulate their own vibe. Like you don't have to worry about like with Breath of the Wild, like that's a great fucking game. And it kind of lives in its own logic. And I feel like like kind of going into like the main topic, like that's kind of something that Nintendo gets away with a lot of the time. Like they can, like Animal Crossing came out at a perfect time. It's doing the like the vibe and the the premise is perfect for right now. But like when I think about jumping back in, I'm just like, it sounds more like work than relaxation, and I feel like that's more on Nintendo's fault than it is like the game's fault, if that makes sense.
That's a complicated issue for me because like I can't argue that point really. But that has more Animal Crossing is almost like a language that I like grew up learning. You know what I mean?
I mean, like, not even Animal Crossing. I mean, like to me, like the overarching point that I was trying to make was that Nintendo gets away with a lot because, like, when you're playing their games, you are playing a Nintendo game. Like, it takes you out of it. Like your expectations and your feelings while you're playing are very like Nintendo centric. So it kind of makes you forget like Smash is one of my favorite games of all time.
Yeah.
Why do I have to, while I'm playing quick play, why do I have to go all the way out to change my goddamn character?
Yeah.
Or to change the skin on my character? Like, if I want, like, why, if Kylie's in the chat, if I wanted to, and she has a Switch now, if I wanted to add Kylie on her Switch, she couldn't just say, hey, add me, I'm Kylie _ last name. I don't want to put the full information on the internet.
Pretty sure I already put it on screen.
Yeah, I
get your point though.
Kylie _R. Yeah,
friend codes are ridiculous.
Yeah, like what the fuck? Like I can like, and it's all because like, and we get it's fine. The Switch is an amazing device. Hi, Aaron. Did I say that you weren't here?
No,
I did. I'm
think
sorry.
you just he was upset that you chose to reference Kylie instead of you. That's my or instead of him. That's my.
I don't have Kylie as a friend on Switch right now at this moment. That's why I was making the point. It's not on you. You know what?
We're putting Nintendo on blast here.
Yeah, that's the whole point. Fuck Nintendo.
Yeah. And to your point,
if they keep us fighting, then that's why they stay winning.
Yeah, I think Nintendo gets away with the fact that their games are like critiqued in a bubble. I think more often than other games. Like, the average AAA game gets a lot of criticism for being like the average AAA game, but Nintendo games, for one reason or another, they're weird. They're like this weird nebulous thing where they have the budget and the team and the marketing of a AAA game, but they're viewed as something more innocent, which isn't really, I would say I trust Nintendo more as a company than I do Sony or Microsoft, and I like them more as a company in terms of like certain business practices, and same with other publishers. But I still like, I lost my train of thought.
Honestly, I don't know that I agree with that, because like in terms of the trust,
I like them more than
no. I'm sorry. Okay. I don't know that I personally trust Nintendo more than I do Sony or Microsoft, because I feel like Nintendo knows that they can get away with this kind of crazy stuff. Like
I think it's oversight. That's always been my impression. Is like that, like because they don't receive that criticism, that like they're viewed more. Like I don't think Nintendo's putting in friend codes because they truly believe, like, because they're trying to, I don't think they're trying to like make things more troublesome for their players. Like I don't think they're intentionally trying to be annoying in that way. And I also don't think they like. I think they genuinely think like, oh, for our purposes, this is the best way to do it, which is weird because they get so much else right. I just find it
on
weird.
The subject of friend codes specific, like in general, I don't want to make a grand statement on like their net code purpose, like the fact that they'll kind of ship a game like Breath of the Wild. Like, let's be real, like that game was not finished when it came out, and I don't think that game is laggy as shit. Like the frame rate, if you like put anything on fire, which is like a main like gameplay loop in Breath of the Wild, like docked, undocked, that shit will chug like consistently.
Why do I get so lucky? Like I did not experience that. I
don't know. Like for the first like hour or two, I was like, oh, this doesn't, because I was intentionally trying to make like there's an area like on the Great Plateau where there are like a bunch of enemies and like some fire. So I'm like, oh, let me try to break the game. Let me see if it's actually like this bad. And I wasn't handheld and it didn't do anything. Like it was pretty good. And then my first Lionel fight, like I remember it was also like around the same time that I was like kind of learning the difference between like this is 30 frames per second, this is 60 frames per second. Like this is when frame rates dip. Like this is like I'm trying to pay attention to that kind of stuff. So it might have been more of an issue in my head because I was like trying to pick up on that at the time. But like I remember playing it like once I noticed it the first time, it became a part of the game for me. And it was okay because it's Zelda and like it's like the systems in that game I couldn't really find anywhere else. But like like it did chug like a lot.
Well, I would say that like okay, we're trying to be critical of Nintendo here, so I don't want to spend too much time defending it because I think it's a valid point. I do generally think that polish is something that I associate with Nintendo with a lot of their first party games, more so than other companies, because like Mario Odyssey, like insanely polished game, Zelda, I think for the most part, like it gets a lot of credit for the fact that it like feels so full, probably isn't the right word because there is a lot of empty space, but like it feels so alive. Yeah, it feels so natural.
Like the fact that I can follow a cloud like that, like it's empty and it's lonely, but it's like intentional. Like, I feel
everything feels intentional. Even some of their like throwaway stuff, I guess, like their like spin-off games and things like that, definitely I think have a higher level of polish. But it's the fact that when they get something wrong, they don't get the criticism for it, so those problems kind of keep repeating themselves. It's like this cycle that, like, I mean, the online stuff, we touched on it, and I'm sorry, Aaron said something in the chat that's making me laugh. He said, Bo, let me break the game. Switch. Game breaks. Bo, angry. I don't think that's what you were saying you were doing, but
like it was one of those like, oh,
I didn't have that same line of thought. Like you get your Switch and you're like, well, I'll see if this is true console.
No, okay. I guess the way that
I'll be the judge of that.
Like it was not like that. It wasn't like I'm going out of my way to like I wanted to enjoy the game, and for my thing I was going in to be like, hey, maybe it's not true. Like I don't know. I just wanted to see. I was not trying to intentionally break the game. It was just and also
just
it's not like if I'm playing the game in a way that it's designed to be played, like like if open exploration and like using everything to your disposal is like the intent of the game. I feel like the game should be able to back up.
No, you're right.
Like what you're trying
the game encourages fucking experimentation. So if you're experimenting and you break the game, it's kind of
No, that was funny though, Aaron. That was funny. That was good.
I was trying to transition into talking about some of the online stuff because I mean obviously the friend codes is this archaic thing they've had since I think the Wii was probably the first one. In that game, I don't even on the Wii, I don't even think you could add friends. It was literally just in individual games had friend codes. Like you had a Mario Kart Wii friend code and you had a Smash Bros friend code and like all that nonsense.
So with the friend code specifically, I wanted to touch on the fact that I was listening to Kind of Funny and they were talking about like the friend code situation.
Yeah.
But more so the fact that, and I didn't know this, but fucking Nintendo, I guess in like 2016, addressed like they like some internal, like internal communications got leaked.
Yeah.
And they know like, yo, we know that friend codes suck. We were gonna address it, but like then, the Switch it came out and people were buying it. So what are they gonna do? Like and like
that's a fair defense. We were gonna fix it, but y'all bought it regardless. So that's on you.
Like the Nintendo audience
made money anyway
plays such a vital role in all of this because like we all know, like I don't think any of us really questioned that friend codes were going to not be a thing when we bought our Switches. Like as early,
I had like a glimmer of hope, but not really.
But like, it's not so much the like, oh, if they do this, then it's I'm buying a Switch. I hope they do this.
Yeah,
like it's the the up in the air bit is on them. It's 100% on them. We are already bought in. Like,
well, that's the almost more annoying thing about it, right? Is like if EA puts out a game that has like microtransactions or something that would make me not want to buy the game, I don't have that internal like, well, maybe it's so good that it's worth it because like they haven't earned that trust. Yeah, that's sort of what I was referring to earlier with trust in Nintendo. Is like I know their games are good enough that it's frustrating because the things that do suck about them, like the online, same or consoles as a whole, like the online infrastructure, like it's not enough to make me not buy it. But it's enough that it's a constant annoyance on top of the experience. Like the base experience is good enough, but the fact that it always comes with this little something, like it's like frankly, especially with the Switch, I would argue probably 4 out of the 5 most like necessary Switch games to own, like require online as like or not require, but have online as like a key component to their game or as like an important aspect. Mario Kart, Smash Bros, Mario Maker, Animal Crossing, like that. All like those 4 and like Zelda are like Zelda's like the only one that doesn't like require online. But I'm
thinking more from Nintendo. So like if it was a matter of players were getting their expectations too high and like then raging against a company because that's what the internet does. Like if that was the case, then I wouldn't really blame Nintendo so much because if Nintendo was never being like, oh well, we do want to be in this space. Like we do want to have a hand in multiplayer games. Like we do want to be in the esports realm. Like, and I feel like in terms of the esports stuff, they hadn't really had that message until the Switch.
Yeah.
Like I remember when they held the invitational tournament for Smash for Wii U and like brought all the players, like the pro players in. I was like, oh shit, they're actually like they get it now.
It seemed like it at the time.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, like that was like the first Smash Bros that felt like it was developed with competitive in mind, Yeah,
it was like, hey, we Mega Kids, we hear you, Brawl Kids, we hear you, get all together and make it fun. And like, but now, and the reason we made this the topic for this week, fucking Smash is not at EVO this year because its online is so trash. Like, I remember in the about a week before they actually announced that like this wasn't happening, like Smash players were putting on like we're tweeting hashtag fix Smash online. It's like and I played a lot. Like I play 2-3 times a week at this point. Like I play pretty consistently. Like or not as whatever. Like I have good times like with my Wi-Fi.
Absolutely.
I know that I'm okay.
Like again, it goes down to the base game is like you can play Super Smash Bros. Ultimate with people online, and when it works, it's that and it's great. But
but it's not often that. Like
exactly.
And if I were to achieve this like bliss of, so let's say that I just want to play one character for who knows how long. Like let's just I want to play the one character. Like there are going to be so many steps to get to and like so many hurdles to get across, like to jump over to have this stable online experience and like have this And like, also, it kind of warped my perception of like fighting games in general, because I played Injustice 2 on like PlayStation. Like just hadn't played it in a while, not really trying to like really do anything, just fucking around in the quick play. Oh my god, I didn't know that fighting games could like be decent online. Like I forgot that like, hey, having like in Nintendo, like Smash does have background matchmaking, but like it slows down the matchmaking process so much that there is no point to do it. Like
and you have to like back out through a shit ton of menus once you've started it. It's not like seamless. It's not just like start a match, okay, now do whatever else. It's like it's still like a process to do that.
It's like
and like no, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, if lag alone were the issue, that would be different. Like because lag, like it's bad, it's worse in Smash and on Nintendo games than most other systems. I will not deny that, but lag is almost inevitable. Like even Injustice, I played that online as well, and I hit lag. You know, some people it's internet connections, it's all these things. There's a lot of variables in regards to lag that they can't control, but when you have to take the time to, if you're trying to play with friends, you have to make an arena. And then if you want to change your character, you have to back out of menus and all these different things that slow down the process. It makes the fact that when you finally get into the game and you have lag, which again, might not be their fault, it just feels that much worse because you had to jump through all these other hoops to get there.
Even counter, like to the point of lag, it is kind of on Nintendo because like, and like, I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like I know what the fuck netcode is, like, or how to explain it. But like, from what I understand, Nintendo is like 2015 level. Like even if it is like a matter of like if our Wi-Fi connections are not that great, like I can count on Street Fighter V's connection or like just the game's like code being better than Smashes for online, because like and I don't, never mind. I was about to start making stuff up. I think like negative latency and like the bullshit that I'm listening to.
you're already coming. I would not know if you were making up words right now.
No, I mean negative latency is a thing, but it's for like Stadia and streaming and like when.
Well, see, that's the thing. We talked last week about having
Game
Project Cloud, xCloud, on Switch, and like the concept is really cool, but I don't trust the Switch to be able to handle it. You know
what? No, you know what? We have the internet.
Googling netcode.
Yeah, because why not? Like, if we're gonna talk about it.
Yeah. Well, then I will fill the air. So I want to do a quick soapbox in regards to Nintendo Online and Animal Crossing, because one thing that's really started to bother me about playing the game at the point I'm at is that are you all right? Is that I've completed a lot of the game, like that I can do on my own, and the fact that there's so much more you can do with the game in regards to like downloading designs and customizing your town, or like doing the turnip, the stock market, and all that, and yet it has to happen outside of the game. Like it's not that it's not doable, and it's, again, the base experience is good when you get like a cool design online and it's really quick and easy to just, but the fact that you can't browse designs like in the game, the fact that, when you have to like sell stuff at someone else's town for the stock market, you have to go through this arduous process of going to their town, coming back, and you can't, like, there's so many things about that game, not just related to the online, just kind of in general, that could be so much more streamlined. And to me, it's like patience is a part of that game. Like, I don't want them to like take out the real-time clock and all that kind of stuff, but there's so many extra things that just needlessly take time and are just clunky as hell. Like, even when you want to change the color of the roof on your home, like, there are 8 options of colors you can choose, but Nook only gives you 4 in each dialogue option, and it's literally just like one of these 4 or more options, and then and it's like something that, like, yeah, on the GameCube, where they literally were restricted with how much text they could put in a box, like, that'd be one thing, but I just don't understand why it's just like a little menu doesn't come up, and it's like, pick one of these and also see how they look.
I mean, if we're being like, my whole thing with Animal Crossing, and like it from the beginning, it was not necessarily my style of game. Like, I acknowledge that. Like, but I did get the draw a little bit. Like, I got the pull. But like, realizing that anytime I wanted someone to like just casual, like if I just wanted to casually open my gates, I need to stop hitting my goddamn desk. I wanted to casually open my gates while I'm like picking flowers or whatever the fuck. The fact that I had to stop whatever I was doing so that I could get a cutscene, someone coming to my island.
Yeah.
And the whole and the whole, hey, someone's coming to your island, you need to stop doing what you like. Like, if I can play Destiny and someone from the UK can just be in the same world as I am because they saw that I was online.
That's the thing. Like
it's there are so many steps, and like it becomes a matter of like I never mind, because that's the thing. I don't want to say there are too many steps, so I don't want to play anymore. Like, it's just there are so many steps, so I loathe going through the steps every time I go through them. But I go through them, so it's this like half it's on me as the consumer to like not. And but then how do you lash out at a corporation? Like, how do you? Well, again, that's their shit. But then I'm not gonna not buy Smash. Like, it's a
I mean, that's like, again, it's like it's not like it's never an issue that's so bad that I don't want, that it makes me feel like I either need to boycott the game or like want to, not play it. It's just frustrating enough, and they patch out certain things too. So it's like, I know you're listening, Nintendo. Like, what's with this one thing? I do think, in terms of next gen, like, the Switch will be around for a while. They'll probably put out a Switch Pro. Like, I'm sure some of this stuff will be addressed, but as we're getting into the PS5 and the new Xbox, like, I do think it's gonna. I don't know. It's hard to say, because I felt like this last generation, when with the previous consoles, but I feel like it's so archaic at this point, their online infrastructure, that at some point it will start to cut into their profit. But yeah, like, I truly don't know, because it's been an issue for so long now.
Next time someone puts out a game that's so like, okay, so I've been trying to figure out how to fucking shoehorn this in, so I'm just gonna do it now. Jim Sterling gave Breath of the Wild a 7, and I still don't know if I agree with that or not, because like, his main point was like, the open world is extremely barren, and it does, like, the performance is not where it should be for like a launch title and a game that had been like in development for so goddamn long. And like, it was on the Wii U and the whatever. Like the he said that the fragility system, like the weapon durability system, was like really, really, really not fun to play with. And that, like, as I think back, I'm like, I didn't really enjoy that. But then it did make me play with other weapons, but also there weren't that many weapons to like really switch between. Like, but I feel like everyone kind of universally gave it, 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10.
There's definitely a crowd effect going on there. Like, people didn't want to be the contrarian when it came to Zelda. Like, it wasn't a game that anyone wanted to be their punching bag,
like,
except for him. But that's kind of,
I don't see it as it being a punching bag, though. Like,
well, I know that's a little severe, but I just mean he's the type of guy who's not like afraid to be the contrarian. You know what I mean?
No, but I also don't see him as the type of person to like tank his reputation to make internet weebs mad. Like, I'm not saying that Breath of the Wild is actually a 7, but I do think that we wouldn't give it as much credit if it didn't have the Zelda name attached to it. Like, I mean, I'm not saying that it would be a 7. I'm not saying that it would not be a 10, but like, I don't think it would get nearly the amount of like. Yeah. Like, I feel like with Nintendo games, like, you can have like, I don't know. This is not. I haven't finished either of them, and I'm not the target market for either of these games. But like, out of Animal Crossing and Stardew Valley, I much preferred Stardew Valley.
But, I mean, there's more to do, and it's probably but
also, like, I don't have the attachment to any, like, Tom Nook means nothing to me. Yeah. But like, Isabella means nothing to me. But like, that's a lot of people's childhoods. So like, should Nintendo have, like, should they have the special treatment because they've been so formative of a lot of kids, like, because they've inspired so many people to make games, because they've, like, given us a lot of shit to talk about, frankly. Like,
well, that I've always been conflicted with that concept, because I do feel that, like, I don't dislike most Star Wars movies, and at the end of the day, that's because they're Star Wars movies. You know, like even the worst one, I still enjoy because it's Star Wars. And you know, same goes for a lot of Nintendo games and various franchises that I'm a fan of. And I think it's valid to I understand the argument that is like kind of not irresponsible, but like that is short-sighted of me to not like to not criticize these things, like despite that. But at the same time, like those feelings are real, you know. That's
my question.
Like it genuinely adds to the experience. Yeah, exactly.
Like, is it worth it? Like I'll make it just there was a Dragon Quest movie that was like kind of controversial because at the end of it was like about the game, and then at the end of it like fucking third eye open, and it's like the characters talking to some virus in the game, and it's like, you're actually playing a VR version of Dragon Quest. You're a fucking nerd. These characters don't mean anything to you. Like they're not real. So you just waste a bunch of time. And then the protagonist whole thing is like, no, it did mean things to me because it, you know, I felt it, so it's real. Like, so like, I guess that answers my question. Like, because Nintendo has, you know, formed our childhoods, like they can kind of get away with not great online. I don't know.
Well, it's like we want new things, but at the same time, you know, it's fun to think about like, what if Zelda and was like Skyrim, and then they made it, and it was cool. Like,
true. Yeah,
you know, like there's a reason we kind of speculate those ideas. It shouldn't always be that way, you know. Like it shouldn't always be like an amalgamation of two existing things, because then you don't get entirely new ideas. But at the same time, new ideas can come out of combining two things that, you know, seem like they're incompatible.
I mean, like a non-lethal shooter. Like
there you go.
Like
exactly.
I don't play.
I think it's a great example. Like just pure core gameplay wise, I think that game is incredibly well designed. And it takes a lot of things that are pre-existing, but they add that spin on it that makes it unique. I
mean, and they just I kind of like, I feel like I love Splatoon, just not enough to play it. Like in terms of like when I think about just like, oh man, the traversal's really cool, and the way that they kind of encourage like they really emphasize team play, like more than a lot of other shooters. Like, and you know, like dude, like. No, I mean, I was describing to someone a while ago, like someone that doesn't play games, and they were just like, "You sound like a fucking sociopath." Like because I was talking about like Overwatch or Call of Duty, like some conventional shooter, and they're like, "You sound like a fucking sociopath. You get like you know, dopamine released from murdering other people." And I'm like, okay, yeah, I mean, like yes, but like no, like the it's more the reflexes. Like it's more the reflexes of, hey, we see each other at the same time. I was able to put this thing here faster than you were to put this thing here and push a button. Like it's not so much the like that's the most one-to-one way we can like, or game designers have, you know, thought of it. And like once the first person was like, oh hey, like this game mechanic goes really well with like a World War II setting, and then we have World War II shooters for 10 years, like.
Yeah.
Like, and then Nintendo after a while was just like, hey, so like you're really just doing this? Why not just like with paint? And like instead of like soldiers, why not like kids and squids? And okay, and
like they were just in the pitch meeting, like it has to be squids. No, it has to be kids. And then some dude walks in. It's both.
Like just some new kid. He's just like, hey, I've got this great idea. It's like, it's a paintball. It's just paintball. You know, it's just kids playing paintball. And then one of like the higher ups was just like, you don't know where the fuck you came. Like, where do you think you are? Yeah. Like we put a plumber underground. We had him fight a goddamn monkey, and he can throw fire. What's up with these kids? Squids.
Like, give him a raise. Give him a bonus.
Sequels. Like
sequel. Yeah, and to bring it full circle, the reason I stopped playing and ultimately ended up selling the game is that is a game that is like you need to play it online to get the full experience, and matchmaking with shit. There's no, it's like you said yourself, it's a team-based game, and yet there's no like in-game voice chat. You have to use your like fucking phone app, and it's like at that point I might as well just face it. It's just, if that game were on the PS4, I would be still playing it. Like I'm telling you that much.
3 of us with the game at one time. Yeah. And we could not coordinate a successful like
Yeah,
play.
you literally, unless I think maybe in ranked you could, but like you literally couldn't form teams prior to the match. Like you couldn't group up. Like you had to like hope that you got like. Oh
like,
god, it gives me a headache even thinking about it. Like there was some local play stuff, and like that was fun. Like the kind of it's like horde mode in Gears of War, like that. Whatever that mode was called.
Just the waves.
Yeah, like waves of enemies. Like that was loads of fun, but that wasn't the core game, you know? Yeah. What?
I said waves of fun. It's okay.
Waves of fun. There you go.
It's just like my thing is especially compared because it's not like Nintendo's doing things that are, and like you brought this up, like they're just kind of doing something that's been done before, but with a new twist. Like if they were doing something entirely unique, something that's never been seen before, I feel like we would be able to give them a lot more leeway in terms of like, well, they're pioneers, like they're figuring it out. But it's like, motherfucker, I have several first person and I have played like so like I played FPSs in elementary school. Like I don't know. Like they've had the time to get this together. Like they've had the time, and like it's not like I feel like earlier you brought the point of like, oh, the Nintendo audience will be like nicer to Nintendo. Like as someone that's been a part of the Nintendo audience for a while, like we are extremely vocal.
Yeah.
Like you like some radio silence for a little bit. Like Dexit. That's it. No. Full stop Dexit. That's it.
Like, so Kylie had asked us what is the intersection between Animal Crossing and Portrait of a Lady? Portrait of a Lady. And the connection is that we're talking about both on this episode. That is the only connection. And to help talk about this movie, we are going to bring in our good friend Frankie.
Hey.
I put together this play real quick, so hopefully it does. There you go.
Oh, hey.
Yo.
Very nice.
That was nice.
Looking good.
All right. All right. So this is our little discussion for hashtag movies defined. This week we are talking about Portrait of a Lady on Fire, which Bo and I literally just watched like an hour ago.
Okay, wow. So it's fresh for y'all.
It's fresh on my mind, yeah.
Oof.
Yes, Bo? I see you revving up for a thought.
It's more for context. So for one thing, I went into this like completely blind.
Good.
Yeah.
Also, I went into this not literally the credits were still rolling on Final Fantasy VII Remake as I started that movie. So like,
wow,
the emotional whiplash I felt. I want to throw it out there. That's where I'm coming from right now because I was not prepared. I was not ready.
Yeah, I definitely had more of a sense, I think, of what the movie was than you did. But I went in fairly blind. I don't like really know if I could have expected every like turn that happened in that movie.
Wait, full spoilers, right?
Yeah, full spoilers. If you haven't seen the movie yet, watch it on Hulu. You also
had a week to do it because we gave you the lead last week when we, and we've been tweeting about it, so it's on you.
And to be honest, I don't think this is a movie that gets like ruined by knowing what happens because there's sort of like, I mean, the framing device of the movie, like you have that looming over you the whole time, so you don't really like. There's no the tension of that is there, but it's not like you don't know what's ultimately going to happen to at least Marianne.
Wait.
So
Frankie, did you watch this for Loosely Confined homework like we did, or when did you see it?
No, I actually last saw this in theaters.
The fabled theater experience.
Yeah, at our local neighborhood cinema. Shout out.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Advertisement, but I'm going to shout them out.
So how was that like in a room full of other people? Because like for me at least,
yeah,
like, again going in blind, I honestly like for the first maybe 5 minutes thought it was a comedy because I'm just like because it lingered for it lingered for so fucking long that I'm just like, am I missing something? Am I supposed to laugh? It's like what's, and then after a while it just like I realized like, oh wait, no, this movie is the tension and just the slow so like with a theater full of other people. I'm gonna assume there weren't like children in the like. I'm trying to think of other variables of like
literally another couple in there. I think.
Oh, okay. Oh, that sounds magical. Just silence.
It was pretty silent, pretty empty. I am a big fan of this movie. I like it a lot. I think that tension that you're talking about is like a very important part of a lot of lesbian relationships, or at least like your first lesbian relationships. Like that tension of like, I don't know where this is going. I don't know how much of this is like within the bounds of like female friendship, because you see that all the time. Like if a historian were to write about these people as if it were a real story, they would say like, oh, they were like best friends for a time.
Yeah.
It's shit like that. So it's like having to take the time and like the danger of trying to like piece together what is regular heterosexual woman bonding versus like romance.
And I think the movie does a good job of setting up these moments where that like turn happens, like when she destroys the first painting, the first portrait, and like, you know, that's like the point where it stops like it's very clear, like, no, friendship is only a part of this, you know, like and I've found that like a movie like this like feels long to me, but only but like there are different like points where I suddenly like kind of lock back in and I'm like, oh wait, no, I need to know what happens here. Like they hold on to certain like plot points and even just certain scenes long enough to where you're like where is this going? And then it hits and then it's like, oh, okay. Like I didn't notice that there was no score like the entire movie. Like a third of the way in, I started being like, "Oh wait, there hasn't been any music yet." And then there's that scene in the middle of the movie at the the party thing where and then it just transitions, like there's like a hard cut, like a hard jump cut right there. And then that's when they have their first kiss, and like that's like the Parasite scene when they go into the basement. It's like it's that moment where you're just like, "Oh shit, things are turned." Like this is.
Yeah, I actually was thinking about Parasite because I think that there's a part of Parasite that has very similar pacing where like. You kind of get into this middle section where you feel like the initial action has already happened. We're kind of in this comfortable midsection where like I feel like I know what's happening. It's still a little surprising, but I know what's going on, and then it throws like another big conflict at you.
So again, going from the just nonsensical anime action of Final Fantasy VII's ending to like this, like, okay, so going into it initially I was genuinely like, okay, like I kind of went into it like, if it's a horror movie I need to be on edge just in case, so I'm like, I'm waiting for it, and then I was like, okay, maybe it's a comedy, and then I was like, no, I think this is just like I think this is just historical fiction. I think this is just this is going to be a slow burn. And then like for me, like the pacing of it, at least, like I was kind of holding on to the like, something's got to happen. And then once I kind of like, it was really like calming to watch. Just like the cinematography was so like just the long breathing shots of like just the. Also, I'm sorry, just shout out to the most French thing I've ever seen on film. Of just her sitting in front of the fireplace naked, just smoking out of her pipe.
Yeah,
just for like
the beginning of the
yeah.
I was like, that is like the like I don't
like that's kind of like one of your French girls was actually the first title of this movie.
Like like that was the first kind of like, okay, no, this is a mood, and I would kind of notice myself like because I would like, you know, Juice would be doing whatever shit, and I'd just be like, stop, like I can't do two things at once because subtitles, and like I would notice that I would like be watching the movie, but I would be like standing for like who knows how long. So like I'd be, you know, doing something and trying to stop, and then I'd like have my attention caught at the screen, and I'm just like staring for you know, like it kind of takes you out of like the, in terms of pacing, like the I don't know, because it really only goes over the course of like a week.
Like it ended up being longer because the initial like time frame was like 6 days, and then she destroys the painting and they have to extend it, and then the mom is gone for like a while. So I think they're explicit about it, but I think it's supposed to be a couple weeks or even like a month or two, because they go through the whole thing with the house keeper person.
I
had to look up her name.
I'm gonna bring up that plot line because that subplot I think is so good.
Yeah,
that was the most like I truly had no idea that bit was in this movie, like at all. Like I knew about the relationship and I was like expecting that, but like when they introduced her character at the beginning, I kind of thought once they introduced Eloise that they were going to just kind of like it was just going to be about the two of them. But the fact that they continued having that plot line with her was very surprising, and I thought like one of the most interesting things that I got out of this movie for sure.
We're in like a weird renaissance, or I don't even know if it's a renaissance because I don't know how much of it existed before, but like lesbian historical drama is like a thing that we're getting a lot right now. Like we had Favorite last year, Gentleman Jack was the HBO show that came out. This movie, that's all I can think of off the top of my head right now. That's still more than like at any other point in the past ever.
Now why do you think not seeing Favorite? I literally have it. Like it's. I don't know,
oh, you have
it's
it?
like right. Yeah, no. I have one of the screeners. Like it's right there. I just haven't seen it.
Yeah, I need to see that. That's one I missed last year. But I'm curious. Why do you think that it's the historical stuff now? Is it that it's just like distant enough that it's like easier to get away with, or is there like something specific about doing like the period thing that adds to
There's
it?
Something specific about the period thing for sure, and I think it ties into that longing that I was talking about, the tension, that it's about that slower pace, and it's about I mean, I don't know, there's like the whole thing about regular romance novels that like they're generally slower pace, they take a little bit longer. Like any kind of historical fiction romance is going to be like a little more plodding in its pace. And I think that is very, very like recognizable to a lot of lesbians, in that like our relationships don't always form immediately or through like traditional bounds. Like it can take weird paths of like, oh, friendship, dating, not dating, dating again. Like that it's just, there's more complexity to romantic situations than just like, do they like me? Yes, we're together.
I feel like in terms of the like the complexity, and especially in regards to us watching this movie as a form of historical fiction in relation to the just getting all serious. Just like I'm pulling this out of my ass, but like just the minor meta bit of like them reading Orpheus and like Sophie's kind of like her eruption of just like the fuck is wrong with her? Like why? Or what's wrong with him? Like why would he turn like all the one rule? You had one rule, all this stuff, and I feel like that kind of like Sophie's emotions in that was kind of us as, or at least me as the audience, being like not having zero idea where this movie's fucking going. Just being like, just fucking just kiss each other already. We know, I know. We can see it. You're staring at each other. Like it the fact that you can't even just say it, just it hurts me. Just fucking do something. Like
that's something that I that hit me early on too, in particular because these two actresses had such raw magnetic chemistry. Like from the first scene, it's like it almost annoyed me. I was like
I'll never have anything this good.
It was it was so like they like the dialogue is so spaced out, you know, because these shots are so long and like they're talking like it's so deliberately paced, but you like it's undeniable like magnetism between the two of them from like the get-go. And I loved how they waited to reveal her too, like how they had like everyone kind of tell Marianne about Eloise before she actually like gets revealed, and there's that shot as she's running towards the to the cliff where, you know, she's got the hood up and then the hood comes down and then the last second she turns around. That was, I thought that was so well done.
The painting actually, like having one of the characters be a painter, and the whole point of her being there to paint this person who doesn't want to be painted is like also really, really good, because you have to spend a lot of time in the camera looking through her eyes. Like you spend a lot of time noticing like, oh, her ears look like this and her nose looks like that. And it's an interesting like moment. I don't even think there's a moment, but it's just, you get the sense over time that it starts to become less and less of like, I'm looking at it to do the painting.
Like, something that,
crossover between like I'm studying for purposes of like making a piece of art versus like I am studying because this to me is art.
Yeah. And I love movies like this that are able to use art like this. I would say this, you could say this movie is about painting, but in particular, it's not just like about a painter. It's like how a painter views the world or views certain people in their lives. Like it's literally like showing how like that artistic medium like informs like a person or informs a way of looking at things. Like it uses it as a tool in the narrative, which I think is great. Like I get, you know, annoyed at all the like movies, like the films about film and the history of film and how important film is. But there's the occasional movie that's like about the filmmaking or like music. Like there's so many just historical like music biopics that just like tell you about someone, but they like it's the movies like that are able to use art as like this is a pathway to that character in addition to just a part of the plot that I that's really stand out to me. Yeah,
I agree. I had a point.
Yeah. Kylie suggests that we talk about the ending concert scene.
Thank you.
Yeah, because we talked about a lot of the long shots, just ending on that long shot of Eloise, like just, yeah, because that's another thing I was thinking about. Like the characters are so like I don't mean this in a bad way. They're very one note for the first like half of the movie because they're like holding back all this emotion. And when there's these moments of like emotional release, they feel that much stronger because of it. And that final scene is like a perfect example of that because she literally goes from like stoic to just bawling in the span of a single shot. Yeah.
I mean,
Also,
something
go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
That song, Vivaldi's Four Seasons or whatever, on TikTok, it was starting to be used as like a trend where like people would talk about like, oh, like first I was straight, then I was lesbian. So they'd be like talking about like, oh, this is my type. And then it would like cut and then it would start playing Vivaldi's Four Seasons.
I love the internet
and then it would
so
be,
much.
Like, pictures of the girls that did whatever. But then people took it back and started using it. It's like, oh, I used to like these boys, but now I like these boys. But with the Vivaldi Four Seasons playing in the background. And I'm just like,
okay, I love how my love for the internet.
I love how memes are made out of anything from the Star Wars prequels to French indie films that, you know, win awards at Cannes. Like everything is content now. It's
I mean, it's specifically not just a French movie; it's a gay French movie.
Yes.
Of course, half the internet's going to pay attention to it.
That's true. It gets a little more attention because of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
In regards to that last scene, I was actually still like, so honestly, I kind of took that as more of a like, okay, now I can breathe, because like I was still, you know, like I feel like the movie kind of framed I hate that I already forgot her name, Marianne, as the like as the audience surrogate almost, like like especially Ed, the way that you described the way that they built up Eloise is like the like you kind of want to impress her before you even get to see her. Like you want her approval, so it's like that level of like
it's everyone telling you like this is a difficult person, you know.
Yeah, so like from that point, Marianne to me was like the underdog and like the, you know, so for her to have this, and also I feel like the framing of like Eloise is going to live this life, like this is before her like her grand life, whatever, just off with some dude that she doesn't know or care about. Like, so the scene of Marianne seeing the painting of, like, before they pan down to the kid, I was like, God damn it, she had a baby. God damn it. Like, it's over. It is over. Like, it was one of the, I was like half hoping that they'd do one of those like bullshit movie things where if they did this, I would actually complain, where Marianne turns around and Eloise is there and she's like, I've been waiting this entire time. Like, no, didn't do that shit. But the finger in the fucking page 28, like that fucking got me. That fucking got me. And then and I'm sorry, even backing up before that, so like I was like, okay, so when they showed it was Marianne, like she's walking through the halls, she turns around and she sees Eloise and what like she shows up in white and then disappears, and I'm like,
for a second I thought it was turning into a horror movie. I was like, is there ghosts?
Literally, I was like, did Eloise just die off screen? And this is how they're telling us what the fuck? Oh no, we're good. And then it shows her in the it was a wedding dress. So I'm just like, oh my, and then the turnaround. Like to me, once turnaround happened, I was like, that's the end of the movie. The painting is the epilogue, and then the crying is just the me looking at everyone else that I would have seen it in the theater with and being like, what the fuck? Yeah. Come on, like it's like and like most of it said, like, or most of it like just unspoken, like just looks. And I feel like this movie's like I want to see what the script actually looks like in terms of like page length and in terms of like how many lines of actual dialogue were in this movie. Yeah. Because I feel like most of my favorite parts were just someone looking at something or someone with some and then emoting, like just focusing on that person's reaction to what they were seeing. So like the last shot, like it was both perfect but also completely unnecessary in my head. Because I'm just like the movie was over after that. Like I was done.
Like it could have been like it was complete, and then that was like gravy on top. Like it.
Oh yeah. No, I'm not saying that it was like. I'm not saying that they should not have.
Right.
I get what you're saying. Yeah. Okay, so Bo, what are we watching next week or for this week for next week?
Booksmart, motherfucker.
Bam.
Whoa.
Whiplash.
All right. So let's watch Booksmart this week and tweet at us using the hashtag #MoviesDefined. This one's also on Hulu, so we're sticking with that platform, and hopefully it'll be a little cheerier than Portrait of a Lady on Fire. So yeah.
I come back for that one. I also have like deep lesbian feelings about that movie.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Yeah, I've seen it already. Bo, you haven't, right?
No, I have not. That's why I wanted to watch it. I heard that it was fucking hilarious, and I've been meaning to watch it. And I just haven't.
Great. Yeah,
I need to watch it again. I still only saw it the one time.
Word. Okay.
Yeah,
I'm hyped.
Well, I'm excited. Cool. All right. We'll talk to Frankie about having you back on. Hopefully get some other people to watch it. Aaron said he already seen it, so jump into the conversation next week as well. Maybe I can create a little banner here that allows me to show 4 people's names. I don't know. I'll figure that out. Anyway, that's today's show. Follow me at Evilshire Prime on Twitter and Instagram. That's on the screen. Follow the show at Defined Loosely and at Loosely Defined, depending on the platform. Boom, boom, boom. Follow Frankie. Follow Bo. It's all on screen and also in the description of.
I think my Twitter might have 2 underscores, but maybe.
Yeah, well, I'll have the proper thing linked in the description for anyone who's watching this. And yeah, until next time, stay loose.
Stay loose.